it's lonely at the top. But I'd rather be lonely at the top than be at the bottom, sociable, with nothing in my bank account. If you want different results, don't be like everybody else. You can't be like your friends. You slowly have to disassociate yourself with inadequate activity, inadequate habits, because instead of going to grab a drink at a bar, maybe you could pick up a book and sit down, read by yourself, because you're going to learn more from this than you are from that inadequate activity or that ridiculous activity of going out with my friends every day.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Let It Up podcast. If you're new to this channel and you want to know everything there is about making money in real estate, selling, sales skills, building your business, or investing, then subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know what makes our great guests so successful.
Let's talk about adding leverage. So we've been getting a lot of calls of people asking us how we've hired virtual assistants to scale and leverage our business. So we've opened up our playbook to all of you. If you're looking to add leverage in your business, whether it's administrative support, ISA, outbound callers, go to addleverage.com and they'll be there to help you staffing your team. What made you want to switch over to Prominent Properties?
So I think, well, my previous brokerage was incredible. He's the byproduct of my relationship to Mike.
Yeah.
And I never talked bad about him, but I also understood that there was an association factor that I was starting to get in my business. And I felt like I paid for Mike because of association. I now have access to an agent that closes 120 homes in Vegas, someone that does 150 homes in Georgia. But my association in my home, meaning at the brokerage, was still not there. Mm-hmm. So knowing that I'm someone that's very competitive, I had to challenge myself and I had to see a company and pick a couple names and say, I'm going to destroy you, because that's what motivates me every day. So I have a list, and I like a lot of these people, but I have a list, and it's like when Kobe had that hit list.
Yeah.
I have a list where I'm like, I know your numbers for last year. Trust me, it's coming soon. And for me, that's what drives me, because what I would tell some of the younger guys is, I would say, if your only motivation in this business is money, once you save 100 grand, your motivation will slowly start to dwindle. You'll show up to the office at 10 a.m. You'll show up at 11 a.m. You got a nice car. And then all of a sudden, that income starts to fade, and then you have to build back up. So I built my motivation around a core group of people. I have a core 8 in my family that my goal is to make sure I take care of every expense of theirs. But then I also built my motivation around competing with somebody else. So I'm going to compete against you. We're one-on-one. Let's do this.
And those people you're competing against are in our market?
Yeah. Well, and it's not even our market. It's maybe, it could be in other markets like Vegas.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
I'm okay with other markets. I focus on, he was in the business 7 years and he did X amount of deals. Okay, let's do it. Let's have fun.
I like that.
Let's talk about these 8 people you're taking care of, because, I was talking to Nikki Piazza from our team before, and she had mentioned that you had said that on the stage, and we should give you credit for that too. Justin was recently on the stage at the most recent Mike Ferry event in San Diego, and in front of a few thousand people. You got to spend some time in the spotlight talking to Mike about some of the things we're talking about here today. So that's a huge accomplishment, man. So you should definitely be proud of that. So before I bust your balls about the next thing, I wanted to give you some credit for that. So talk to me about these 8 people you're taking care of. You got like 6 or 7 children, or what?
No, not yet. If we keep making money, we're gonna pop kids out here.
Buckle up. So you keep swinging that pipe, you might have a couple more kids too. Time out. See these cows?
It had to come out. All right. Well, first and foremost, that stage present, that the whole stage.
Yeah.
When Mike introduced that to me, first he told me the day before and said, "Hey, by the way, I may need you. So you may need me for lunch. You want me to get you a cup of coffee? I'll get you a cup of coffee." He's like, "No, you're going to be on stage tomorrow." What am I going to be on stage about? "Oh, no, you'll do great." And he walks away from me.
Oh, God.
And I'm like,
that sounds like a very Mike Ferry thing.
Yeah, very Mike Ferry. So sure enough, I jumped on a bike after that, and I just started doing cardio because I'm overthinking things. And now, oh my God, what if I mess up on stage?
Yeah.
And 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm on stage, and it was a great experience. But the core 8 that I mentioned on stage was mom, dad, fiance, sister, brother, stepmom, stepdad, and grandma. So I know what their expenses are on a monthly basis, and they do well. So it's not like a small feat. It's not like I have to make an extra 10 grand to cover them. I want to get to a point where I'm covering all of their living expenses so they can live, they can do whatever they want, because they've sacrificed so much for me. And it's such a big why in my head, because they've given me the opportunity to even be here. They gave me the opportunity to pay Mike 50 grand, because if I was struggling, secretly, I know I have mom's safety cushion. I have dad. All right, I have something to sleep on.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't have a house. I wouldn't have certain things. So it'd be, for me, I think it's idiotic if I'm not thinking you have to support for them now. There comes a point where you have to step up. And it's funny, I told my dad, we went out yesterday to Carmine's, and I ran to the server like I was going to the bathroom. And I said, listen, take the card. Dad is not going to let me pay for this bill.
Yeah.
So dad tells me, he goes, Justin, you're not going to pay for a bill until I tell you to. And then when I tell you to, you're covering the rest of my life. So just save now, you're good. And when he told me that, I was like, I love the example that he's setting, because that's the same thing I want to do. But there's no way my core 8 is not taken care of. They have to be taken care of.
I love it. I was honestly going to bust your chops about it, because when Nikki explained it to me, it wasn't as beautiful. I was like, I want to save enough, or earn enough, I should say, to cover 8, 10 people. But then I'm not actually going to give it to them or take care of them.
Then just say you didn't.
Because I was. What were we saying before?
I want to be able to say I did. Okay, I can.
Listen, don't get me wrong. Retire my parents, great. Give a little bit to my sister, phenomenal. The other ones, they need a loan, personal loan, no problem. Interest rates coming with it though.
I need something on the back end.
No, listen, you got to do. And again, I'm teasing you about it, because a lot of those people, I'm sure, played a huge role in your life and helped you, get where you are. Like you said, it's they all impacted you in different ways and gave you the opportunities to do what you did with either buying your house or leveling up and coaching with Mike. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot
for sure.
My fiance goes to me. She goes, "Why don't we move to Florida? Taxes are lower, and the weather's better." There's so many pros. If I were to break down a pro and con list, there's so many pros that there's no reason why I can't convince you to move to Florida.
I say this every day, by the way.
I tell her, well, either I buy a 15,000 square foot mansion and we have wings to the house where all my family lives with me, or I buy 4 different houses. So I have to make a certain level of income to buy 4 different houses in the same area.
And she's like, you're crazy. I was talking just me and you, Justin.
Yeah. It's not happening.
That's awesome. All right, let's talk about a little bit more towards activities in terms of production activities. So if you're looking at lead sources, what were your strongest lead sources for 2023? Are they going to be your lead sources for 2024 as well? Anything you could share on that?
Yeah, so strongest 2023 just sold. Did about 23 deals just sold as a whole.
Nice.
And I just felt like there's no competition in it. So now all of a sudden, everybody in our market's going to call just sold, and we're going to have fun. But either way, there's so much opportunity for everyone to explore that source, because if you're callous, again, we focus on that callous. If it's strong enough, you can deal with just sold, and they're soft conversations.
Yeah.
They're not getting called 56 times. But now in terms of if I relate it to this year, I don't think that will be my strongest source. I'm heavily on expired now. And I'm pushing back on the older sources that were dried up for a couple of years, because there's more opportunity there.
Yeah.
Like the first of the month, we had 65 expireds I was calling. Felt like I was telling everybody happy holidays. It's like, God bless you guys. I'm happy for you. I was excited.
You're the perfect guy I feel like for just solds. I feel like you're the kind of guy that can really talk to anybody. And, I think for people who don't do this every day, the just solds are really important, because what you're doing there is you're sharing information, of course, property just sold, of course, in the neighborhood. But I want to make sure people understand the odds of that person that's answering the phone and talking to you, Justin, of actually doing something right now. We're all impatient. We're looking for right now business is so slim. However, you are so conversational and you are so memorable that you have this conversation with the person. They say, oh, that guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I'm not ready now, but when I am in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, I'm going to keep his name and information because he gave me the information. You know, he sounds professional, and you know, he did what he said he was going to do. He called me, you know, every quarter after that. So I think that's there's no doubt in my mind that you're great at those. But I think people need to realize, like, it's not impatient. So you made a joke about other people in our market, you know, taking over just solds. It's not going to happen because it's not. People want things that are impatient.
Yeah, or quick.
People are impatient. They want things that are right now, I should say.
Got it.
So yeah, what are you doing then when you're talking to these people? You're just putting them in your database and you're just putting something on your calendar to remember to call them back?
So I'm actually not. That's the interesting thing. My goal is, if I find, it's understanding my target. So my target, what I'm looking for in an ideal client. My ideal client, if they tell me 6 months to 12 months, I know I can cut that in half. If I cut that in half, I have you on my zone. Let's sit down. Does it make sense that we should sit down and actually maybe talk about these figures before you feel like we should go any further?
Yeah.
Because realistically, my goal is not waiting for someone 2 years. For me, it doesn't make sense. If I have my database will be 3,000 people.
Yeah.
If I hear someone say, well, we're thinking about it next year, bingo. Let's see if we can drop that to 6 months. And then you and I sit down on Saturday with a cup of coffee and sign a contract.
Beautiful.
So you said 23 with Just Listed, Just Sold. What was the second highest lead source?
Second, actually, past client and database were right there.
Okay.
And I'm now starting to get calls of, hey, could you come over? Hey, my mom just passed away, unfortunately. Could you sell her house? I'm getting those now, my fourth year in.
Come list me calls.
Yeah, which are a blessing. Oh my gosh. I mean, being longer in the business, I'm sure you guys get those all the time.
Yeah.
But you gotta be kidding me. I get that call, I want to break my phone.
Well, you're excited. I had one of those recently for the first time in a long ass time, because a lot of the people that I work with move out of state, and it's like, it's always secondary homes, like investment property, which is like a nightmare to deal with in itself, which is.
Well, that's the tough part. You called a lot of, me and Kiro called a lot of vacant properties, absentee owners, landlords. And what happens? They've already moved to Florida and you're selling their rental property or you're selling their former home. So unfortunately, you don't get a lot of referrals or from a lot of those people because they've moved out of the area.
Yeah.
So if you dissect it, it's tough. But I'm sorry, you said you got one recently?
There was no, like, I'm thinking about all of the ones I just literally just put up. One guy from California, one guy, family from Florida. They're putting it in there. It's like literally none of them are owner occupied properties.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's tough. Like, I had one recently that was an expired. I got him. And then from there, he was like, I need to sell my primary in Woodridge. Then we sold the Woodridge property. He bought another property. So it was 3 transactions with one, but it was all back to back. So I was like, this is actually really good. Like, I like this. This is pretty fun. But not many like those, which is, I thought it was our market, but then I saw John getting a bunch of referrals, which I got jealous from. But it is what it is.
Maybe the beard. Maybe it's the beard.
Maybe probably the beard.
So then walk us through the contacts. How many contacts are you making on average, and what's your metrics that you're looking for?
50. My coach told me to drop it at 40, but my focus. So everyone knows the 10,000 hour rule. In order to develop any sort of mastery in any business, any level of proficiency, you have to at least work 10,000 hours in that field. I think the same way about calling. So if I'm on the phones, last year I was on the phones 1,100 hours. The year before I was on the phones 1,000 hours. The year before that, I have not, in the past 4 years, I haven't hit less than 10,000 contacts a year.
Wow.
So if I do that for 10 years, we're in the money time.
Yeah.
We're almost there. So on a daily basis, it's 50. This year it's 40, but it's 40 every single day. I have people tell me, you hit 40 today, but you also do that next week? Yeah, I do that every day. It's not that it changes.
Yeah, this is a job. This isn't a hobby.
Yeah, it's, I've told this, I was reading something about John Maxwell, and he was talking about growth. And he mentioned, in order to grow, we temporarily need to surrender our security. And when he said that, I was like, I'm too young and I'm not good enough to do any of that coaching stuff. So I just read a whole lot of books. And when I heard that, I was like, everybody has this level of security because we're habitual creatures. So you living life day to day tends to fall into the same rhythm and cadence. If we remove that rhythm and cadence and we call more people, you will get better results.
Yeah.
So if you're only doing X one source, if you're only calling just sold, like some people I know, they only call just sold. Remove the security blanket. Let's start calling expireds, withdrawn, canceled, and FSBOs.
Yeah.
You're going to grow, but you're not going to grow until you remove that security blanket. So my goal is 40 a day as of now.
Nice.
Yeah. I was always taught the lead sources need to be like the legs of a table, right? 4 lead sources. This is 5.
That was 5. Yeah.
4 legs on the table, right? Expires, FSBO, whatever it is. Now, if you're only doing one, then you obviously table's falling over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a solid point. How many contacts?
I'll work on that analogy next time before I put it out there.
Put 5 out there. How many contacts do you have to hit before you get an appointment?
About 100.
Got it. So every 3 days.
Yeah.
You say appointment or a contract signed?
Appointment.
Got it.
75% of the listings I go on, I take the listing.
Got it. What do you think you do better than anybody else? Would you say it's the call itself, the presentation, the follow-up?
I don't think it's the follow-up. I think that's something I need to work on. I could definitely be more aggressive on that because I tune people out very fast, but I think it's being personable. So I can get you to talk about yourself very fast. And when you start talking about yourself, you give me information I need. So now I have the information to curate that plan of action, to curate this presentation. Without that information, people are like, oh, you want to sell? Let's meet tomorrow. No. I need to talk to you here for a second. So I think it's being personable, and it's strictly because of the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
Like I relate everything to the restaurant because I genuinely saw professional servers where I would go up to them and they were like, oh, last year we did 150. I said, we? What do you mean we did 150? I didn't know a server could make 150 grand.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. So when I would hear these guys making money, I was like bewildered. I was like, wait a minute here. You're making 150 grand serving filet mignon and a Cabernet?
Yeah.
I'm doing something wrong here. I think that's what differentiates me from, and my callus is just that much bigger.
Yeah.
I will not stop. I heard Patrick Bet-David say, outwork, outsmart, outimprove, and outlast. I'm so firm on outlasting, and I'm okay to do this for 30 years that I don't think anybody is going to be in that race long enough.
Yeah.
Love that. That's good, man.
You got a great mindset.
Yeah. When you're going through we'll use a just sold script, for example. When you're going through the just sold script, are you following the script verbatim, or do you have any things that you change to get them to talk more about themselves through it?
These are very analytical questions today.
No, I'm just trying to think of things that would actually, like if someone's listening to this and they're saying, well, how do I get my just listed game or just sold game up, right? Like one of the videos that helped me like crazy was watching Hal Swayze do that role play on stage like many years ago. And his was, or was it Neil? One of them did it, and it was like an incredible role play, and I like literally mimic it to a T. Yeah. Just curious to see if you have any other different, like if you do the same exact thing or if it's different.
I do the same thing, really. The only difference is cadence. So we sound robotic not because of the words we use, but the pattern interruptions in the minnow. So if I said this off or I said this off Kinter, the seller's gonna be like, wait a minute here, he sounds a little robotic. But if it sounds natural, like my transitions are a little different. I have the just sold script literally right in front of me because I was making calls. So my transitions are a tad bit different. So I tend to I ask a seller, how you feeling? As a just sold, I'll say, listen, we just sold the house down the road here on 123 Maple. It sold for about 460, and I was just curious when you plan on moving. And if we get to a point of the conversation, I'm asking how you feeling, and I'm getting a little more information. But separate and aside from this script, I'm really not adding any magical sauce. It's just motivation and move.
Yeah.
So they say they lived there for 10 years. You're like, wow, 10 years. Where'd you move from? They're like, Florida. Florida. How'd you have it big here? And then where do you put in the how you feeling part? I'm just trying to see how. My bad. I'm just trying to understand.
That's super analytical.
It's not the opener, I'll tell you that.
No. So it's not with every call.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the only difference I'm making with the script is at times I may throw some personality in it, but separate and aside from that, if someone says, Where do you plan on moving? Well, I'm looking to move to Florida. You got to be kidding me. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
So my transitions between isn't great. It's not terrific. No. It's me. It's Justin.
Yeah. You put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, though, you can talk to anybody, and you've got it sounds cheesy, but like a playfulness, like you and I have probably only hung out 5 or 10 times, right? But we can both have this conversation like we've been best friends for years, right? Like you have to have that playfulness and be able to do that with people that are strangers, right? Or people that you've never talked to, right? And everybody's real. I mean, like, if somebody's willing to stay on the phone with you for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and everybody, of course, wants to know what their neighbor sold their house for. Everybody's nosy, especially if they can't just go on Zillow and see the actual price because it's not public yet. It just says pending. They want to talk to you. What did those people get? Because the pictures make it look like they're hoarders. And if they're hoarders and my house is in good condition, that means I get more money. So, Justin, let's talk. How you feeling?
How you feeling?
How you feeling?
Talk to me about it. If you start, I mean, at this point, I think on a daily basis, the goal is, my goal at least, I'm going to sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, and just have some conversations.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Because if I overcomplicate things, I'm not going to get anything done.
And you know what, too? You got to make it fun for yourself. Because if you're sitting there like, if you sold this home, where would you go next? And how soon did you, you just got to be like, dude, you're going to lose your mind if you don't make it fun for yourself. If they start screaming and yelling, you scream and yell back to them,
Yeah.
I'd be screaming too. If that happened to me, you just have to be playful. Like it's
playful confidence.
But it's the people who, make it life or death or put so much pressure into it that I have to read this verbatim. And, this is, what's the worst that could happen? Like, how many times I would get hung up on and I'd be like, Kiro, call this guy. He sounds legit. I just wasn't his style. Right. So I'd be, call this guy. So what's the worst that could happen? You give your friend the lead and they call him.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've called like Patrick Southern? I'm like, yo, I talked to this dude. And I was trying to get the listing and I fucked it up. I said something or I gave him the wrong comps, but he's a real seller. Call him and give me 30% or whatever. And you could give it to another agent in your industry. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with like just jumping into the call and going for it.
Yeah. No, man, that's good.
Very true.
Justin's really, really good on the phone. Like you've called me once, maybe like 3 years ago. You hung up right away when I was like, Justin, you're like, like I've been guilty of doing the same shit, but you also have a very good energy on the phone. So like when I stole this from you, and I hope you're okay with it. No matter what day it is, if it's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, he'll be like, Happy Tuesday.
Friday.
Yeah, or Happy Friday.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm like, it's such an infectious energy when you're doing that. I'm just like, I find myself smiling. I'm like, yeah, it is a Happy Friday. I guess it is, because you're labeling it in a weird way, which is good.
Well, first you're like, why is he so fucking happy? But, I like that.
No, it was a couple, you can't call him and be in a bad mood, which is
true.
A great skill to have. Any tidbits or advice that you'd be able to share? Because was that always the way that you were, or is that something that you learned over time?
No, that definitely wasn't happy any day. That was strictly figuring out a way it was an affirmation to myself. If I said, if I'm on the phone, if I contact 50 people or I speak to my clients 30 times throughout the day, let's say I have X amount of pending and we're trying to put out fires, as it always happens. If I say Happy Friday 76 times, you're inadvertently going to have a Happy Friday, because it's all perspective based. So if I'm looking at negativity, I'm going to find negativity. If I'm looking at positivity and I say Happy Friday, I'm going to see the positive in it. Although the seller was annoying and they told me to cancel the listing and that deal fell through, I did get a lead today. That works well.
That works.
So it's all perspective based. And one thing I'm starting to see now, I've been doing the Happy Friday, the Happy Wednesday, about 3 years. 1 year into the business.
You say Happy Monday?
I say happy every day.
Mondays aren't so fucking happy though.
But you can find happiness in it. With a cup of coffee, you can find happiness in it.
He twisted that. I like that.
Yeah, it's the truth. Well, I have clients now. It's interesting. I have investors, super driver, no emotion. Happy Friday, buddy. How you doing? I got you to say Happy Friday after a year and a half. We're doing it good.
Yeah, but see, that's the playfulness I'm talking about. Now you sort of crack them, right?
Yeah.
That's golden, man. Any other things that you do that would help with the energy and enthusiasm through there?
Yeah, I talk to myself throughout the day. One thing I found is how important, like that happy day, how important is our self-talk. So at times when you're not, Mike said it on stage this year. He said, just because you're not affirming, you don't think you're affirming anything, doesn't mean you're not affirming anything internally.
Yeah, that's good.
So
You're always talking.
You're talking to yourself. So just because you don't think you're working, your brain is moving, and you're subconsciously feeling, oh, maybe I can't get this listing, maybe I can't, and you're losing confidence before you even walk in the door. So I talk to myself a ton, and the goal is strict optimism. So even when I talk to my family, right? I'll call my family. People think the happy day stops with clients. No. My dad texted me today, happy Friday.
That's good.
My family, when they ask me, so if I say, John, how was your day today? If you had a horrible day, you're gonna tell me something negative. If you and I are brothers and I cut you right off, wait a minute, I don't need to hear the negativity. Let's talk about something happy here. You'll get irritated, but after 6 months doing it, when I ask you how you're doing, eventually everyone around me is seasoned to speak positivity. So that's one thing I changed is my mom calls me. She says, how was your day? Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Today was actually the best day ever. She's like, are you being genuine? Yeah, I'm being genuine. I'm being serious right now. She's like, I'm never gonna know when you feel upset. And she's gonna see this, but it's the truth. I don't believe that the day is bad. We all lose listings. We all have had deals fall through. We could find positivity in it. Just let's focus on it.
I love that, man. That's good.
Love it.
That's strong. What do you want to leave with the viewers? Something that helped you significantly that you think that you'd want to share to anyone listening to this?
I think I did a lot of talking, so let me think about it. I really think it's just to any viewer, champions do daily what everybody else does occasionally. John doesn't do anything different. Kira doesn't do anything different. I don't do anything different. We all typically do the same thing. The focus is John has been doing it for X years consistently. Kiro has been doing it for
40.
Happy birthday. That's a big one, 40. So you can expect to have that compounding effect, that compounding interest in a year. I'm still not there. I still wake up every day, write the same stuff down and say, I could do it. I got this one. And I tell myself happy day. So the only thing I would say to the viewer is champions do daily what everybody else does occasionally. If you want different results, don't be like everybody else.
Yeah. Sweet.
You can't be like your friends. You slowly have to disassociate yourself with inadequate activity, inadequate habits, because instead of going to grab a drink at a bar, maybe you could pick up a book and sit down, read by yourself, because you're going to learn more from this than you are from that inadequate activity or that ridiculous activity of going out with my friends every day. Like I probably haven't hung out with anybody from high school or college since my first year in the business. And it's never going to change that way because it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be lonely at the top than be at the bottom, sociable with nothing in my bank account.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
No, that's valid. That's a good point, man. In that book, the Choose Your Enemies Wisely, is that what made you make the hit list?
No, I had the hit list before. That's why I left Access.
Got it. I love that. All right. Well, if someone wants to reach out to you, connect or collaborate, what's the best way to do so?
So you got my number. My number's 646-319-1899. Instagram, my wonderful fiance, let's give her something here before I get in trouble. She started our Instagram, Just Sells Homes. And then if you want to connect with me directly, Just Sells RE.
Sweet.
Sweet, man. Appreciate you coming on.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. We love you and we support you and we love what you're doing, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. It's just the beginning. We got a lot of time.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's right, buddy. Good luck with everything. Thank you so much for being here.